I'm so excited about this.
Cool, guys. Welcome. Thanks all for joining. It's great to have a full house. Really appreciate it. We're going to start doing these a little bit more often onto some feedback and values that we can help you guys utilize Better Agency a little bit more. Just to give some backstory, Kevin has closed out about 1,300 requests through the Better Agency pipeline. So in that close opportunity, there's like 1,290 something there. So there is quite a lot there that are there. And then he's obviously generated Google reviews through this process. So I'm real excited to have him. And thank you, Kevin, for doing this for us. I'm going to let Matt will be running the show today, asking questions. If we could all stay muted, if you guys have questions that you would like to have asked, if you guys could drop them in the chat, and Cynthia and myself will filter those and direct them to them when they have those questions. And that way we just kind of keep it in a nice format. So we'll get started and let you guys go, Matt, Kevin. So thanks again.
Yeah, thanks, Derek. So again, like Derek said, Kevin kind of chimed in and said that he's got a process, or it seems to have a pretty successful process so far of kind of handling service requests through Better Agency and through the pipeline. So we're just trying to, again, offer people some options and some workflows and ideas on how to use Better Agency, or just how to kind of think through processing service requests. And this isn't the only way to do it. Whatever Kevin says is not the only way to do anything. Just like if I recommend doing something, it's not the only way to do it. These are just kind of different options for you, and you might be able to implement some or all of this into your workflow, or into your agency's workflow. So to give us a little context, Kevin, just I guess up front, just kind of tell us a little bit about your agency, the size, kind of how long you've been around, just very rough background.
Sure. Awesome. Hey guys, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, so I am second generation. I'm a 4-person shop. I've been doing this for 22 years now. So long short of it is that my mom purchased a agency from the town, in the town that we grew up in, back in 2000. She was a banquet waitress that worked at down in Sheridan, a town over, doing banquets and weddings and luncheons and stuff like that. Trays got too heavy. She got a life insurance and mutual funds license through Prime America, who was the regional vice president, was a family friend. She got a PNC license. So happened to be working and met a marketing rep from Encompass that stated that, hey, there's a guy in your town that's looking for an office manager. This is in the mid 90s. So she went and she got a job, and she was the office manager at the time for about 3 years. And the owner, was ready to go. So basically made an offer to sell the book in the building. This is in about 99, 2000. I came on board shortly after that. So I've been close to about 22 years in general. So it's me and my sister, and we have 2 account managers. One was my underwriter from Encompass back in the day, had 35 years experience, absolute rock star. My other one is an account manager that she was a producer for Liberty Mutual Direct, and she is a rock star legend. So it's just a small shop. I'm about 4 million written premium, growing because of Better Agency. I can give you some numbers with that as well. And I'm like 90-10. So big personal line book, starting to grow the commercial. So basically where it all started, for years, I mean, someone would call, you write a note, scrap paper everywhere type of deal, no process, for years. Had found IAOA only in like 18, 19. I had no idea that this community existed. The last 3 years have learned more about running the business than the previous 16 years, and that is truthful. And so anyways, back in December in 2019, I remember watching Will Shaw do his demos on the sales when the at the beginning of the Better Agency, they were showing the sales pipeline and how it was being used. During that time, I was trying to rack my brain. I'm on Hawks off my AMS. I'm like, I need a workflow for endorsements. We had a couple fall through the cracks. Hey, this car wasn't on the policy. Can't have that. So I was trying to reinvent the wheel, and I was looking for a way to fix those processes. And I started, watching his videos, and it's like, well, this is really good. This is cool. And I heard the name before, and I was kind of had it on my radar, so I was watching a little bit more. And then he had said that, well, we're rolling out the service pipeline, and light went off the top of my head. I said, this is it. So in January of 2020, I signed up with Better Agency. So I've been on for a little more than 2 years now, and dramatically changed everything, changed all the processes. And it was great too. We signed on right in 2020, right before the proverbial shit hit the fan in March. We went fully remote, and we were plug and play. Had a VoIP system already, in play. Had my AMS in play. Now the CRM, and I never before even had counted and followed and tracked my new business data and stuff like that. So that was a great thing to implement and to know what we were doing. So in 2020, we did, the first quarter was really, really quiet, but started doing Google ads in April, then went straight to the moon. And we ended up writing over, like 550 in new business. Then the second year, a little bit less than that. So averaging about, over 5 new business, 500,000. So anyways, with the service, instead of get an email, someone calling, someone coming in, we're brick and mortar right on the main street, a lot of walk-in traffic back in the day. That's changed dramatically too, because of obviously post-COVID. There was no process, right? So when we first started with Better Agency, what I have Ford Street from my website, I have Gravity Forms. So what I did, and obviously adoption within the ranks is an issue, right? So getting people to, especially old dogs, new tricks are very difficult to teach. So what I did is that every service that comes through, go through our website, do the Gravity Form through the website. I created the Zap, did all that, so right into the CRM. That was the start of it. Built out the CRM, get all the clients in there over time, and now it's everything's in there. So I just go in and just do a couple clicks, and everything's well contained. And now there, since especially when we were remote, it was a collaborative thing. Hey, would go over the pipelines. Hey, this is in there. Got a new car. Got to change this coverage for this one. Change this mortgagee on this one. We could all work on that. We all knew what was in the bucket, and I think that's a great thing too. So to even go back to how this meeting I think all started. I had went to the first Better Agency conference last year, and this past one as well. And I think on the first one, I think we had some ideas where we implemented with Brandon and I think Billy Wagner, this welcome campaign and stuff like that. You can customize your automation. So I don't know if it was at that point or even prior to that. I just I hyperlinked our Google, my Google My Business link within the closed service part. So with the service campaign, you get a text, hey, we're working. Get an email, hey, we're working fast, quick. We're gonna want to get this done for you. Then when it closes out, thank you so much. We send a separate email with the endorsement confirmation in there. Any increase, decrease, maybe we say, hey, you're missing this, we should do this, or everything looks good, whatever the case may be. That's a separate email that we send. It's not automated. That's the advisement part of it, after the fact. But they'll get a separate email saying, hey, and we just ask, can you leave us a 5-star Google review? Have we done a good job? Let us know. And that's it. I sent another email a few days later, actually asking for a referral, saying, hey, you know anyone that would benefit from, our service? And there's a link with that. Haven't got a lot of traction with that, but I still get referrals in, because if it's not at that time, clients say, hey, why don't you call them, because they have seen it, so it's in their mind that we obviously would accept any and all, and especially if we've done a good job and they're happy with us, we'll send them over. But yeah, when I started out 2 years ago, I started with in the fall of 19. In August, I went with Lightspeed. I started with the VoIP. Forge3 came in right after that. Then I got my A. I went with Hawksoft in September. Then I just started Rocket Referrals in October. And at that time in 2019, I had 6 reviews. I got 152 right now and counting. So from what I would saw on my Rocket Referrals, I know there was about 40 or 46 of them was from Rocket Referrals. Right now we have 152. So I don't know if it's all from service, because we have the Google review request in a welcoming campaign as well. So when we close a new business, thank you so much, join the family, da da da. And please, again, if you're happy with our service, and please leave us a 5-star review. We just ask. So we do get a lot from that as well. But with the service one, I mean, it's so, people turn in their car and we just do a quick change. We've garnered a lot of traction with that. And obviously with that, comes the trust and authority aspect of what we do. And, if you look, I don't know about any of you guys, but I've looked, around the agencies around where I am, not many have that. There's a few that have a lot. I know Carlos Vargas is in my neck of the woods, and he has a ton. I know he has like 300. There's another one that's affordable. They have 14 locations. They're like a non-standard market, but they have like 700. So, but not many have more than 15. So there's a dramatic difference in that. And you get a lot of people that go on Google and they say, hey, you guys, we saw what you guys do. We saw your reviews, and, what can you do for us, da da da, and home, auto, business, whatever it may be. So it does garner new business. I mean, it's a simple thing to do, where you can put that hyperlink, within that campaign, and that's all you got to do. But I know, like within the thread before, a lot of people say, hey, I don't know if it's, we get an email, just do the endorsement, or we get the call, we do the endorsement. A couple clicks will go a long way, because if you set the service request within the campaign, if the information is in the profile, the policies in the profile, you can just do that. And as well as the claims as well. So utilize the claims. I started doing it for a while, and I kind of have not been doing it with the claims pipeline, just because I don't have the time. And I just haven't done it, which I should start doing again. But the same thing with the claims pipeline. They check in, hey, you heard from the adjuster. It's just kind of staying in the conversation. And we've got headaches prior becoming full-blown headaches. Hey, I haven't heard from anyone. And we do a simple email to the adjuster, hey, and CC the client, hey, he hasn't heard from you yet, what's going on? Oh yeah, we fell through the crack, type of thing. And we save that one from becoming a catastrophe. But with the service pipeline, it's low-hanging fruit, because we do it. That's whatever, if you have service teams, or if you guys do it yourselves, or you have VAs, or whatever, however your process is. If you just set the automation, I mean, let the automation do the work, you'll gain traction.
I'll interrupt real quick. It sounds like, so a few things I'm picking up seem to be pretty consistent, is you're training your clients ahead of time how to communicate with you, and what the expectation is. And then the other thing too is that it sounds like the end goal of the service request is not the service request. It's positioning other things. So whether it's reviews or referrals or further communication about cross-selling, things like that. It sounds and you can agree or disagree, but it just sounds like a good opportunity that you're using to kind of position those other things instead of, hey, we finished your service request, talk to you later. What is your have you, I guess one question would be, have you taken the campaigns that were originally in Better Agency and just edited them a lot, or what was your thinking in approaching that, and kind of what do those look like? Not if you want to share your screen or if you want to just explain it, either way you want to do it.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, as soon as we got it, and it was the 14-day trial back then. I don't know if you guys still do that, but just kind of play around with it and literally just put some names in with some with the cell and email and hit start campaign. And it was so easy and out of the box. That's what attracted me to Better Agency from the start. It was that I didn't have to build anything out. I didn't have to write any ad copy. I don't got time for that, and everything was out of the box ready. Then yeah, you can go in and customize it to, hey, welcome to Crowley Insurance, or welcome to ABC Insurance Agency, whatever you're, and put names in there of your account managers. Hey, this is the person that's going to be helping you. It's going to be either or. Set the expectations, create that journey, right? It was very, very, very minimum customization because everything is pretty much done. I know, to go back to what I was originally saying, I think I had changed. I think Brandon had, given his whole, campaign for new business, and I'm using that one currently, and that was 2 years ago. In the service one, I think, yeah, I just kind of just changed it up a little bit. You can delete, you can add, and yeah, it was very, very minimal. I haven't done much to it other than maybe putting my hyperlinks in, and changing to my personal names, and
Sure.
that's it.
Are you positioning the again, I mentioned like training clients to communicate a certain way. Michelle had asked about in the chat about having, what do you do, or do you have people come in through, do you have the service requests come in through like a service email, or are you solely directing them to your website to just go through your website form, your Gravity form, and that's it? Is that accurate?
No, no. I mean, it's however they do. If they call, or if it's just someone's trading in their 2019 Jeep and they're getting a 21 Toyota, they might call some deal. Hey, I'm trading in my car, and we get the paperwork from the dealer. I mean, we create the service campaign just then. If it's just we get a mortgagee change because of a refi, we do it then. I'm not forcing the clients to do that from their end,
Go to
which
the
it's
website.
yeah, and I started with Glovebox in December too, so we're rolling that out slowly. I have some, probably about just under about 200 clients on that right now. I know there's talks with hopefully where right now that's the service just comes in through an email, through a type form, but nothing gets generated into my CRM yet. But everything's a work in process, process. So hopefully somewhere down the line we can revamp that process and make it even quicker and easier. And so I'm totally open to that when that time comes as well.
So you're just kind of handling them, I guess as they come in. I think the question was, are service requests coming in via email into your pipeline? It doesn't look like in Better Agency you have the service email hooked into the pipeline right now. So Michelle, maybe that answers your question a little bit differently. So it looks like they're coming into your service email, they're coming in via your Gravity form. People are calling in, and regardless of how they come in, they're all. Would you say 100% of the time, if someone has a service request of any type, small or big, it's going into the service pipeline?
Yes,
Just
that
so
is
that
yes, that's my goal. I tell my, my team, I said, if it's a billing, someone wants to change their, their pay plan, put it in there, whatever it may be, whatever the change is, because if we forget, that looks bad on us. And, people are people and we're all human and we will make mistakes and it will happen. So if you get into the process of everything going in there, nothing gets dropped, and
Right.
that's the goal. But
So you do that as, I guess another question that comes up too, and somebody had asked about this in chat is, and I get asked this a lot too, like what's the difference between using a service request versus just generating a task? Going into a profile and just making a task. I guess my perspective has always been tasks can be kind of one-off type things. They're kept in the profile, whereas service requests there's usually multiple steps to it, and you can alter it as you go. Do you use tasks for anything service related, or are they completely separate?
I use tasks differently. If no, not for service related. If I got to do like a callback on something, or like a follow up type of thing, or something that hey, I got to do this tomorrow thing, or I got to do this by, end of the week thing. It's not necessarily a service, but just a memory thing. Back in
Yeah.
the day, I'll be 45 at the end of the month. When I was in my 20s, I used to remember everything. I don't remember everything anymore. So instead of, relying on memory or making making a note that's going to just crowd your desk and probably get lost. Yeah, I throw it in the task. Hey, call this person Wednesday. Or like, I just had the client. He didn't like a claims experience. One of my carriers says, hey, on renewal, remarketed me, and I put that in the task because it was like 8 months away. It just came up. So stuff like that. Hey, start this cross sell. I have a home and the auto renews in August. I'll put a note in July saying, hey, start the cross sell campaign now, in July 1st, instead of start the cross sell in May. We might be a little too early for that. Stuff like that. Like, just for memory things.
Reminders to do
Yeah.
things, to follow up on things. What about things like pending cancellations? Are you using Task for something like that, or I guess in your agency's perspective, is that more of a service type request or like
So we're
a
utilizing, yeah, I mean, we're utilizing that process is being worked out. And yes, we do contact, and it's always the same people. And I'm trying to implement, like, hey, send the link for the glove box to these people, send an EFT, like no more, just no more of this, because it's the same ones over and over again. And so we'll send the text, hey, you got a cancellation on Friday. We'll send it on Tuesday, type of thing. Do we send it up in tasks? No, but we do the communication, through our VA platform, via text. Yes, absolutely. I find the task get a little bit, especially with the renewals, and I haven't, I can customize that too. It can get a lot. I don't know about anyone else, but I'm constantly, cleaning out, old tasks. And then the ones that like are important, I put, high, so it's red. All the other ones that are automatic, like the renewal tasks and win back tasks and stuff like that, they come in as a low priority and they're yellow. So if I know it's something red, I put it in there personally, or one of my team members have, and it's something that needs, attention. So I don't, we don't use the task for that as far as like following up on cancellations. We just, text them, and it's usually works out pretty good. They'll make the payment, but yeah.
I'm another thing that I think is important to remember is the purposes between the two. types of between like service requests and or the service pipeline and tasks. The service pipeline has automation built into it and campaigns built into it, whereas tasks are just one-off.
Right.
I think there's a way to save time and mental energy and just kind of keep things a little bit more organized if you get in the habit of putting things into the service pipeline. And I was on a call with somebody the other day, and they were trying to wrap their mind around these two concepts and what would go, to either one. My thinking is, I don't think you're going to go wrong putting everything into the service pipeline if, obviously if it's service related, if it's change related, if it, you have to go to a carrier, it's got multiple steps to it. But we all know when somebody calls in and they ask a simple question, it can sometimes lead to 55 other questions. So even creating a service request in the initial question or the initial point gives you kind of the platform to expand from there. Whereas a task, you're pretty limited in what you're doing. You got to create another task to follow up on the next question that comes up, and then another one. So having a service request as kind of like your folder that you're putting stuff in for that client and that, that question or that change or whatever it is, that way you can kind of keep things together moving forward as you go through. And then if you need to use automation, you need to use campaigns going forward. You can follow up, you can position cross-selling, you can position reviews and referral requests and things like that if you're using the service pipeline.
And to add on to that, I think the good thing about the service is that say if Joe Schmo calls and says, hey, I'm getting a new car, and hey, my kid just got his license, I need to add him on. Now we make the notes within that service. Hey, Joe's getting a new car. Joe needs to add his kid. Here's his license number. Here's his name. Here's his date of birth. If that was written on a paper and that paper got lost and we just did the change for the car and didn't, we forget to add the kid gets into an accident, that's E&O exposure. So the notes help with that as well because everything's documented. Instead of it being hearsay, and it's good that we have the VoIP too because everything's recorded, but that's just another level of protection for us. Everything is documented.
Yeah, I agree. That is, it'll kind of do it. It'll do it for you there. Trying to go through these questions too and see if
there's two questions. One is, when do you use just the direct link to your Google review, or are you using what BA has with the rating campaign?
I just use my direct link.
Okay. Next
and
question.
I just hyperlink it. Yeah. So just click here.
Okay. Next question. Are you concerned when a claim goes sour because of a bad adjuster or claim experience that you get a negative review that's focused on the agency?
Well, hopefully we. So now that I think about it, I don't think I have my Google link within the claims campaign. But I mean, obviously, hopefully, we can get ahead of that type of issue before it, gets to that point, whatever it may be. So that's another good reason to, and obviously I should preach. I should practice what I preach. I should go back to using the claims campaigns as well. The claims line as well, because that those do arise. Hey, I haven't heard from my adjuster in 2 weeks. I haven't, no one's come out yet. And we can get ahead of those things just with the automation, and they respond back to the automation. I don't know. We get a lot of people calling like, oh, well, I got an email here, and like, we have to explain all those. Well, they're automated. We just want to stay in contact with you, and we explain that. But it'd be, it's another good reason to to have the claims one going. But yeah, I don't think I have my Google review to my claims because I don't think I ever thought of that.
Maybe I think you could too. I'll just add this in too, maybe to answer the question a different way. You can choose whether to start a campaign for somebody or not. So you could do it one of two ways. You could either have your campaign even for claims, and not have any type of Google review link in there at all. And if you're not sure what somebody's experience was, maybe put them on the campaign. It's just kind of a follow-up closure type thing. But then if you know that they had a really good experience, just create a template and send them an email that has a Google review link in it. And then those opportunities are getting taken care of. If you know somebody had a great experience, they're happy about it, just shoot them an email and say, hey, by the way, leave us a review. So you do have some control over that. You don't have to just send everybody, the same campaign every single time and then just kind of, cross your fingers that they're going to give you a good review. You can kind of, act as a doorway for that as well. Let's see if there's, Derek, any other questions or any other?
Yeah, next question, last question. How do you use the next action date feature? Do you use that?
No, I don't. I'm not even familiar with what that is, to be honest with you.
Okay. Yep. And that honestly comes into play. Like most people would use like the service request or a task and not use the next action dates. And that's kind of some of the feedback we've been given to. So guys, any last questions from anyone in the audience before we wrap this up? Give it just a minute. Go ahead, Matt.
Well, I was just going to say, as kind of the closure here, kind of big points from at least what I took away from this. I think a lot of agencies look at service requests or look at change requests or those types of items as a headache, and they look at them as like, oh, I don't have time for this. I'm trying to sell policies. I'm trying to generate new business. But it sounds like Kevin has really used service requests as a big retention piece, honestly, as a way to kind of initiate reviews, to initiate requests for referrals, way to start the conversation on cross-sells. I think a big component of using automation is that you're not always trying to sell with the automation. You're not trying to sell your agency, or you're not trying to sell new policies with the automation. You're trying to get the conversation started. You're trying to get your foot in the door. And so I think this is a good opportunity. Service requests are a good opportunity if you really focus in and strategize ahead of time. Every single time we're going to do this. Every single time we're going to ask for a referral. Every single time we're going to ask for a review or whatever. Would you say, Kevin, that it has contributed to a lot of new business for you, or a lot of retention, or is that accurate?
1000%. Yeah, it's not one or the other thing. It's all encompassing because without the platform, we would still be writing notes on old pieces of paper. I wouldn't be able to track any of this data or these I honestly didn't even know how. I didn't even look. You guys had said how many service requests we had. That's crazy. That's insane. I didn't even know that number. So it just helps. It just helps with the process. To begin into what to go back to the beginning when I said I had no process. The process was throw it against the wall and see if it stuck, right? And there was no process for sales. There was no process for service. There was no process for claims. It was just kind of go as you go. And now everything's kind of contained, and like I said, we leverage the automations to help us do our job better. That's it. And it's and it was all out of the box with just minor customizations to it.
Hey, Matt, I was wondering if I can ask a question, just because it may be.
Sure.
This is Greg Garcia, San Antonio. Kevin, do y'all have anything in place where you a workflow where the team members can turn off a campaign? Sometimes we'll have a campaign running and we'll forget, and then another email, maybe a 5-sequence steps, and they're like, already told you, they'll kind of get snippety.
Yeah, especially with like, yeah, absolutely. You can use it to your advantage. So, say in the sales pipe, say in the sales campaign, you quote sent. All right, you get confirmation. Yeah, the client's a go, right? But you don't want that campaign to keep on going. So a lot of times, what we'll do is, in between that limbo period of actually sending, the DocuSign and finalizing everything, maybe it's a few days. We'll shift it back to maybe working and just put it into the working pipeline and just let it sit there until it's all done. And then move it over to one, or lost, whatever the case may be. Yeah, 100%. You can, turn off. Hey, we've had those conversations too. Like, what are all these emails I'm getting? I said yes already, and he said, oh, sorry about that. I'll turn that off, or the renewal pipeline as well. Hey, I keep on getting, I already renewed, oh yeah, sorry about that. It's automation. And we just, we have that conversation with the client, say, hey, we're just trying to stay in contact with you and make sure that everything's good. And we will turn that off for you. Sorry about that.
Thanks.
I'll add too, communication that goes out to clients and prospects, oftentimes that, like, this just happens to everybody. And I tell every new agency I onboard, like, it's at some point it's gonna happen. You're gonna send some communication out, some email's gonna go out and you didn't know it went out. More often than not, that has created an opportunity to further a conversation that you might have started previously, because people will respond to things that they disagree with or that they didn't expect or that they think are wrong, maybe more often than they will if they expect it or it's correct or whatever. I had one agent who he had a campaign and it would send the same zip code to everybody. He'd say, hey, just want to make sure your zip code is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, knowing it's the wrong zip code. But he said, you'd be amazed at how many people responded back to that and said, no, that's not my zip code. And he said, oh, my bad. By the way, I just wanted to follow up with you about this. And so thinking through strategies like that on just getting people on the phone and getting people engaged, you can be really creative with that. So don't always look at like accidental emails going out as the end of the world. Pivot and use that opportunity to resell or cross sell or, just further engage that client or further engage that prospect. So that's all, that's all the wisdom I have.
Matt, Kevin, you guys crushed it. Thank you guys for letting us take some of your time today. Hopefully everyone got some valuable feedback out of this and really can start utilizing that service campaign. Definitely some quick wins there if you can start using it. Let me know feedback if you guys have questions, concerns. You guys know where to find me. You guys know where to find Matt. Appreciate it once again for all you guys for being better agency users and your commitment to us. So thank you. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
guys.
All right,
Peace,
y'all.
guys.
Have a good one.
Have a good day.
See ya. Thanks
Good
again,
luck.
Kevin.
Thank
Welcome,
you.
man. Thank
Bye.
you.